This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, wonderful. This is Sarah, and we are talking toxic work environments. It is 2022. There has been a great resignation. In fact, according to MIT, 24 million people left their workplaces between April and September of 2021, and 34 million people interviewed said that they left, and that was over the course of the year of 2021, said they left because of a toxic work environment. Big boo hiss. Can we throw tomatoes at the bad people on stage? So we have Michelle Connery here, who actually spent 20 years in corporate. And not that all corporate is toxic. This is just her experience. But Michelle, tell us how you define a toxic work environment.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I had some good experiences in those 20 years, but I've also had some bad experiences. And for me, a toxic work environment is one where there's a lot of, the blame game, where something goes wrong and everybody's just, well, who's at fault, and getting grilled, and, everybody's just kind of on pins and needles, right? Because you're worried that you're going to be the next one on the hot seat, right? And it's about those micromanagers who can't let go, and not really empowering your team, really just managing through intimidation tactics. And it just creates a whole culture where people are on pins and needles. They're stressed all the time. There's a lot of water cooler talk about so and so and this person, and it's just very negative. And I don't know about you, but that really just drains my energy. And it's hard not to get into that, right? Because I forget what the statistic is, but a negative person can, bring down more people than a positive person. And it's just, it's not a fun place to be, right? And you just don't feel like you're able to perform your best when you're constantly under that amount of stress. So
Harvard had, because this is all things I'm talking about in my next book. I told you I just turned my book into my editor. So,
yeah.
It would be impossible. It's a book on decision making and problem solving skills, but it's also talking about complaining versus solution based thinking, right? So I have a lot of these statistics in my head right now.
Awesome.
It's because they were in my book. But it was, I think in the Harvard Business Review, it said that employees spend 10 to 20% of their time complaining about their boss, like 10 to 20% of their working hours.
Wow.
Complaining about work or complaining about their boss.
Wow. I don't doubt that, because I've seen that firsthand. And in some places, I would say it's probably even more, right? In really bad environments. And you just think of that from an employer standpoint. That's unproductive time, right?
Financial do that, yes.
Right. And it's just all that negativity too. Like, you're not going to have your best thoughts and your best work if you're constantly in that negative environment where you're complaining all the time. Because like you said, you're not looking for solutions. You're just complaining for the sake of complaining. And, you don't get anywhere when you're doing that.
Well, there's some interesting, again, statistics. I've never given these many statistics. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, we didn't know Sarah was like a statistician." Again, all statistics from the next book. But it was talking about, like, when you were in that fight and flight, like, you are actually stronger, which makes you have energy. Like, if there's a bear coming out of the woods and you get into fight and flight, you're actually stronger to run away from the bear. Like, it makes sense from a biology standpoint.
Yes.
But it also makes sense from a toxic work environment, because if you want to feel stronger, the easiest, cheapest, kind of low-hanging fruit is venting or complaining. And your body is flooded with chemicals that make you feel stronger, but you're not doing anything to solve the problem.
No. And then I think the other part of that is like, when you're constantly in fight or flight, it's not good for you either, right? It's going to cause mental and physical issues and possibly burnout, right? So when you're constantly, because, the cortisol levels, everything in your body stay elevated for so long. And if you're constantly in fight or flight, you're just on constant alert, and your nervous system can't handle that for a long period of time. And you're actually not going to be productive in the end, right? you're going to burn out or you're going to be off on other medical leave for other reasons, whether it's heart condition, whatever it might be, right? And it's just not healthy mentally or physically for us to be constantly in that position. Yeah.
Well, and your work now is in
Yeah.
that exact field, right? Within
That's
health.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So point that out. Just I didn't we talked about this before, but this is a very an answer she's giving you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in 2020, when I decided to leave my corporate job, I was burned out, and I'd always had really an interest in health and wellness. But ironically, for 20 plus years, I put mine on the back burner. Right. And that's why I ended up where I was. And, the pandemic and everything really kind of helped me focus on what's important, which is my health and my family. So I decided to resign, and I got my nutrition certification and my personal trainer certification, and I'm working on a couple others. And yeah, now I'm a health and wellness coach, and I'm trying to help other, high performing, ambitious professionals who, are so used to these environments. And like you said, constantly in fight or flight, trying to help them learn how to put their self-care first, right? And so that they don't burn out, because it's not fun. I don't wish that on anyone. And, it's really my passion to help them, lead a healthy, balanced life and, have that career if you want it, but, focus on your health and welfare, wellness as well.
And the game has changed, right? In before, when we weren't all working from home, and I know some people are back, there's some advantages and disadvantages to working from home,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't end. Like, I'll be on a date, going on a date, and I do pretty well with self-care, but going on a date with my husband is just like, oh, here, let me send this email in the car on the way there. Yeah. Like, that's not, I run my own business, right? If I'm not working, nobody's working, right? Like, there is a safety net to corporate.
There is. There very, very much so. And what I found personally, and I think one of the things that really just drove me to make that change was that when the pandemic hit and we went to 100% work from home, whatever, life balance, I didn't have a balance, but that line just became obliterated, right? It was like, well, you don't have to commute an hour to work, to and from work every day. So you can get on earlier, you can stay on later, meetings started getting called at night and on weekends. And it's like, there was just no boundaries anymore. And the expectation became that, well, you're such a senior level position, you should be available 24/7 to us, right? You're at home. What's the big deal? Just hop on a call. Oh no, I need the downtime, right? So and I think for a lot of professionals that's happened, right? Because it's like, before they would have that commute to unwind or get ready to get into the office, and all of a sudden that's gone, and they're spending that extra time working, or they're working even longer because I don't have to go get in the car or get in the train or whatever to go home at night. I can just keep working till all hours of the night, right? Because the computer's right there. Well, just one more email, just one more phone call, and it's very hard, right? And so a lot of people, I think, are experiencing that exhaustion and the burnout and those toxic work environments, because once you give a little, they just keep taking. If you're in those toxic work environments, they don't accept the boundaries, even if you're trying to put them up.
Mm-hmm. So what are some personal tips you have for, let's say, just like the bear came out of the woods and our fight happened, or, sometimes I know that at points in our biology, we completed stress cycles, right? Like the bear came, we ran away, and then we stopped, and it signaled to our brain, I did something about my problem, and now I'm safe from my problem. Yeah. But an email doesn't work that way, right? You don't run after and stop. So
exactly. It'd be easier if the bear was chasing you. Honestly, it'd be better for your body, because like you said, there's that, your body can recognize when that stressor is gone, right? The bear's no longer there. I'm safe. I can relax. The cortisol levels can come down in my body, and I can recover. But when you're constantly working around the clock and not getting enough sleep, you're not giving you're signaling to your body that you're still in that fight, right? Because there's no end point. it's constant. And so your body doesn't know when to shut off. So the best thing that I think people can do is to really go back and focus in on their sleep and their nutrition and getting some movement in, right? Those three things. I know it can be hard when you're busy, but even if you just, unplug half an hour earlier than normal, turn off all your electronic devices half an hour before you go to bed, it's going to help your sleep, right? It's been proven the longer that you're on your computers, it impacts your sleep. So doing those little tweaks, like maybe half an hour seems like a lot right now. Start with 5 minutes, right? Start small, just do something today that's going to be better than what you did yesterday. Go outside for a 5 or 10 minute walk. It doesn't have to be a long 3-hour, hike in nature. I mean, that's great too, if you have the time, but it's sometimes, we set ourselves up, well, I don't have time. I don't have this, right? It's all the excuses because you're still in fight or flight mode. But it's taking that break and giving yourself that distance, like you said, and making sure you're eating well. Don't be living off caffeine and processed foods all the time, because that's going to just keep the cycle going as well, right? Make sure we're hydrating and eating some balanced foods, as much as we can. I know it can be difficult in the busy season and things like that, but it's doing those little things just to kind of help you get that break, and setting boundaries, turning off the phone. What's the worst that can happen? You turn off the phone.
And setting boundaries and complaining too, I think, because
Yeah.
I think it's something we don't recognize. Like,
Yeah.
We go to lunch with our girlfriend or coworker, and they were complaining about work.
Yes.
But it's like we took the bear to lunch with us.
Yeah, the bear's constantly there. Yeah. So yeah, it's about setting those boundaries and saying, okay, that's work. And taking, I don't know, but if anybody's read Jack Canfield's Principles of Success, right? He talks about, you might not be able to change the event, but you can change your response so that you can change your outcome. So yeah, saying, I'm not going to respond that way anymore when so-and-so sends me that email at 9:00 at night. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to look at it tomorrow morning. Because I know I need that break, or I'm not going to sleep tonight, right? So it's setting up those things that are going to stop you, right? And take that break. And like I said, and sometimes it's going out for a walk, letting your mind wander about something else. Try and get your mind off work or your boss or whatever it might be. And I know it's difficult. It's not easy when you've been doing it for so long. Been there.
Well, maybe starting with having a positive conversation with your coworker at lunch, right? Yeah. That is a boundary you can set yourself that has nothing to do with what your boss, because it is funny. I will say, whenever I'm talking to people about toxic work environments, everyone instantly says, my boss should be doing this differently, rather than I need to set better boundaries with my sleep schedule.
Exactly.
Right? Conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about, what can I do to change? Because if I take responsibility for myself, it means I'm setting boundaries. I'm going to start doing what I need to do to keep myself healthy. I can't change what my boss does, but I can start setting better boundaries, taking responsibility. And that includes, I'm no longer going to complain about this, because I can either change it, learn to accept it, or leave it, right? Those are my options, right? And if I continue to complain about it and do nothing, then I'm going to be constantly caught in that stress cycle and that toxic environment, and nothing will ever change, right? So yeah, your boss has their own problems, right? Like, I've worked for some really toxic people, and it's hard to kind of separate that. I get that, because it's so easy to fall into that trap of negativity and complaining, but at the same time, stopping and thinking, okay, well, the more I complain, the worse it's going to be for me. It doesn't change anything, right? It doesn't change their behavior. It just makes my health worse. So and
it's important to get other energy sources, to be able to tap into energy sources other than fight and flight, because I think sometimes it happens because we've been in fight and flight for so long that's how we get energy. Well, if I get angry about my boss, then I'll have energy to finish my next round of work. But you can see how detrimental that is long term.
It is. Exactly. It's about finding other healthy replacements for that. So whether that's, like I said, going for a walk outside can be so beneficial for your mind and for your stress levels, and it helps to bring your cortisol levels down. You know, drinking a glass of water, like just taking that break. Maybe it's doing yoga or meditation or journaling. You know, those are all great ways to help your mind calm down and let that fight or flight response have that time to shut off and realize, oh, hey, I don't need to be on right now. Michelle's safe right now, so I'm going to shut off and let her relax. And it takes practice, right? It does take practice, whether it's meditation. I always never thought meditation was for me. But honestly, it's one of the best things. Even 5 minutes a day, studies have shown that can help greatly for your mental well-being. So it's something that I encourage people to try.
Brendon Burchard has a great meditation video that's accessible to everybody, and it's just going over the word release. Release. That's the easiest meditation. I have done a lot of meditation at this point, but that's such an easy one because it's not, it's just, especially if it's 5 minutes at work, that's something, hitting the reset between appointment 9 and appointment 10.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just something to help hit the reset. It could be stopping and taking 4 deep breaths, right? Just to try and calm your mind. I mean, 4 to 6 deep breaths where breathe in for a count of 4, out for a count of 4. Because that just helps, again, release that fight or flight status. And, if you're going into a stressful meeting, maybe you do that before you go in. Close your eyes for a few minutes, do some deep breathing, and just, I've got this, I'm okay, whatever happens, just positive self-talk and, instead of just going in there with already in fight or flight mode is, not usually the most productive thing.
Well, absolutely. My husband and I have an agreement, sometimes we'll say all the hard things together. Like if I had, what happened Saturday morning? I can't remember what happened Saturday morning, but there were several stressful things happen all at once. And I literally said, if there's anything else bad you need to tell me right now. And it wasn't that bad. And be careful if you're like emotionally flooded. Like I'm at a really filthy place as I'm saying this. Sometimes we think about separating out our hard stuff. But when you think about your nervous system and that energy, it's like, okay, if I have 3 emails I don't want to send, if I do them all at the same time, then it's like, okay, that's over. Reset, going in, rather than I'm going to have a really hard thing on Monday and a really hard thing on Tuesday and a really hard thing on Wednesday and a really hard thing on Thursday. Right?
And you're worrying about it till you get it done too, right? And you're actually making it worse because you're sitting there thinking about, oh, well, if I send this, they might say that, they might say this, they might, right? You're actually probably making this scenario worse than if you just, okay, I'm going to deal with this now, get it over with, move on, reset.
Well, you're absolutely making your nervous system worse. Like maybe
you are
the situation worse, but there's 100% chance you're hurting the nervous system in that, right?
Yes, for sure.
Michelle, this is great. I know this is such an important topic for so many people. It is. Will you tell people where they can find out more about you?
Sure. The best place to find me is on Instagram. It's at Coach Michelle Connery. I'm on there, and they can stop by, say hi. If they need any help, just, feel free to send me a DM. I'm there. I want to help as many people avoid burnout and, just get healthy because, life's too short. So.
So if you had a 1-minute broadcast to the entire world about the topic of toxic workplaces, health and wellness, or burnout, what would you say?
Don't put your health on the back burner. Self-care is so important. So many of us deprioritize it, whether it's for work, family, friends. You've only got one life. Live it to the fullest. And if you're in a toxic work environment, if you don't feel you have the power to change it, leave. It's okay. You can leave, right? Because so many people think that they're stuck there. And reach out to somebody, talk to people who've been there and done that, because having that support is what got me through it as well. So,
well, this is toxic person proof. So there's all kinds of toxic. And that's so important to, like, whatever toxic situation you're in, you are not stuck. Like, this is not your brain is going to play tricks on you to make you feel trapped. You're going to feel like there's no way out. But lots of people have, it's hard. It's hard.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's scary, especially if, you're relying on your own income. There's no other income. It's scary. Believe you me, it's not an easy decision, but it's doable with some planning and support. You can do it. Don't think you can't. You're stronger than what you think you are.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. And then I'm going to also add, please do some type of reset, because I do want to warn people within the Great Resignation, if company A and company B are both having employees quit because they're saying it's toxic, but then you leave company A hoping to go to company B and it be better, but you've not done any self-work in between company A and B, like those self-boundaries, that self-management, to make that new great first impression. I do want to warn people on that too, because that's what I'm worried about right now. It's like,
oh, me too. And I've done that myself, right? Like I've left one place thinking, okay, the next place is going to be better. And then you get there and you're like, it's not. But part of the problem was, okay, well, I didn't learn to set boundaries. I didn't learn to prioritize my health. And I'm still, caught in that fight or flight struggle. So until you start learning how to take care of yourself, it's not going to change, right? You're just going to you'll end up in a worse situation, but yeah, so you got to do that self-work. It's very important.
Awesome. Michelle, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you so much.
Toxic Workplaces, Burnout, and helping us on our journey to becoming toxic person proof.
Thank you.